Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Sunday, August 16th, 2015. This is episode 220. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week, and if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. As you can see, I'm Sans Callie once again. She actually had all intentions of recording this week. She was very excited, texted me a few days ago to tell me she was going to be able to make it, and then she fell ill this morning, so she said she was not feeling good and definitely didn't even want to get out of bed to record. So send her some well wishes on the this episode thread if you feel so inclined on our Ravelry group. And I'm hoping it's just a quick stomach bug or something. So we'll see. I haven't seen her in a long time either, so I'm missing her face just as much as you guys. Anyway, so I have a lot to talk about and to show this week, so don't worry, it'll be a full episode even though it's just me. So I haven't seen you guys in 2 weeks. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. Leading Men Fiber Arts vended at Stitches Midwest, which I'll talk about a little later in the show, but it was really good. To all of you that came up and said that you watched the show, thank you so much for coming up and saying hi. It was great to meet you and to see your smiling faces and get to talk to you guys, and I always enjoy that. So some of you I got to talk to a little bit longer than others. If the booth was a little busy and we didn't really get to catch up, I'm sorry. A few of you came up and saw me at the podcaster meetup that happened at Stitches Midwest, and I got to meet a few other podcasters as well, catch up with a few that I know in real life as well, so that was a lot of fun too. Other than Stitches Midwest, I'm back at work. I had a full day of meetings on Thursday, and then a work day on Friday. Kind of got my classroom in order, and got some things planned out for the first week. I really can't start teaching the first week due to a lot of different things. They're having assemblies the first day, and then I've got to spend a day going over my syllabi, and then the MacBook rollout. They're doing the first week of school this year, so all the English classes have to take the kids down to get their MacBooks, so I can't really start anything until the following week. So, but I get to meet all my new students tomorrow, so that's always exciting, and I'll let you know how the first week goes when we record next week. So that's pretty much been my 2 weeks in review. A lot of getting back into business stuff after Stitches. We have quite a few wholesale orders that we have to get filled and different obligations, but don't worry, there's still plenty to be updated to the shop, which if you follow me on Instagram or follow the shop on Facebook, you've been seeing things going up in the shop and stuff like that. And so I have some of the stuff that I've been promising you to be up in the shop that I haven't really lived up to show you at the end of the show. That is up in the shop now, so that's that. So I don't think there's really anything else major to go over in the past 2 weeks. I think that's pretty much about it. Alright, so what else? Knitting. That's what we're all here for, right? I do have a finished object this week. I did work very hard and I finished my algae socks. These are knit out of Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn in the algae colorway. This is her old sock base, so it's 100% superwash merino. And I knit these on size 1.5 US, 2.5 millimeter signature DPNs. I kind of like my two circs. Maybe it's because I'm used to it, but I didn't really enjoy the DPNs so much, so we'll see. Maybe in the future I'll de-stash my signatures. I bought them. This is the first time using them. I don't know. We'll see. So, they're done. I did do Afterthought heels. This one, I just assumed that it started at the same color, this green. I thought it split off in the green, so that's where I started. Somehow I was slightly off, so I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I got a little bit of blue there on that heel, but this heel's good. And then I got a little bit of, this one's just kind of the mismatched sock, because I got a little bit of stripe on the toe as well. But I believe these are going to be for my quote-unquote stepfather-in-law for Christmas. So we'll see how that goes. Um, he says he likes his hand knit socks, and Andy's mom says that he wishes he had more, so I'll give him some more. So those are done and blocked and all that goodness. Now I need to figure out where I'm going to put everything. So what am I currently working on? The first thing I've been working on is my sweater for our sweater knit along, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the show. It's living in my Fat Squirrel Fibers bag that I picked up at SSK last month. And I'm knitting Portage by Melissa Shashwari, and I'm using Elizabeth Levold Silky Wool in number 65, or also known as Spruce. And I'm using sizes 7, 6, and 5 US, 4.5, 4, and 3.75 millimeters. I'm currently just all on 7s. I haven't switched needles. I am on the second ball, and I have split off for the sleeves. So you can see I have the sleeves on waist yarn. I've done just a little bit under the arms. And here's the back detail. You can see from the Dicky Doo. I didn't do much, but the rows were quite long. So I'm figuring it out. Sweater patterns are always interesting for me because there's a lot of different things going on at the same time. So I did work on this a little bit this morning, but I am hoping that it fits well, and that I'm excited for the low density of the fabric, because a lot of my sweaters that I've knit for myself are very heavy, which make me very warm. I run warm to begin with. So that is that. Trust me, there's lots more to go. It'll probably take me the full time of the knit along, which ends in the end of October. The second thing I'm working on is Malted Milk Shawl by Kate Jackson, and I had the lovely pleasure of meeting Kate at Stitches. She was in the Destination Yarn booth, which I did visit as well, so I got to meet her and talk about the shawl and everything. In fact, I picked up a pattern from her while there as well. This didn't get a whole lot of love, and this is living in my Bags by Awesome Granny large project bag that I reviewed last week. And I did finish the last color block section, and I'm using Local Alpaca mill spun into a worsted weight in a brown colorway, cream, and then I dyed this in our Poseidon colorway. And as you can see from the Dicky Doo, I didn't get a whole lot done. The rows are growing, but I did get to see the original one of this up in the booth in Stitches Midwest as well. So I have to do a couple rows in the cream, and then I do a lace edging in the Poseidon. So it should be done in the next week or two. But I am enjoying it. It was a quick, pleasurable knit. Still have plenty of yarn. And the whole project and all 3 balls of yarn fit in here. So and I didn't tell you, that's knit on the size 8, 5 millimeter. The third thing I'm working on, I did cast on for the Violet Waffles hat by Haldora J. I'm using Daisy Knits 80-10-10 Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon in the Thinking of Mel colorway. And I'm using sizes 4 and 6 US, 3.5 and 4 millimeters. And I'm probably about more than halfway through it. I finished the brim, bumped up to the 6s, and I'm doing the waffle stitch pattern you can see there in the hat. So you have to go to about, I don't remember if this is a paid for pattern or not, but you got to go to a certain amount of inches. I'm a little bit over halfway there, so I can't decide if this is going to go to my quote-unquote father-in-law for Christmas or if I'm going to keep it for myself. I do really like the color. We'll see how it fits on my head and whatnot. So that is that. So that's going. And that's living in my Tangerine Designs bag that I picked up at last year's SSK. The last thing I'm working on, I worked on all of Stitches as a shot sample / demonstration of how to use a sock blank, which got a lot of interest. So I'm knitting the Rushed Laziness Boomerang. I'm using one of our improv sock blanks that I called the colorway Rushed Laziness, and here's all that's left of it. and I'm just doing one of my basic garter stitch boomerangs. And I don't think I put in a dicky-do, so I wasn't very far along when I left this at SSK. And you can see the fun coloring going on in this. So I worked on this a lot. You can see the funky texture in the garter stitch. From what I've heard from everybody, that'll block right out. I'll let you know once I block this. But I had a lot of people comment at Stitches that they actually really liked the texture that it was giving it. So, enjoying that a lot. I will not be working on this again until my next show, which will be next month, the 19th of September. Just because it's portable and it's really good for a demonstration of a sock blink and all that fun stuff. So that's all that I've been working on. And so what's in rehearsal for me? Since I finished the self-striping socks, I did tell you that I did pull this skein of Lollipop yarn in her A River Runs Through It colorway, which is hard to see, but it's grays and greens. I don't think I'm going to cast this on immediately because I want to do a shop sample. We have a couple new shop samples that need to get knit up, and I met a lovely veg matter on my shirt. I met a lovely viewer of the podcast and fan of Liederman Fiber Arts at Stitches Midwest, and she offered her services to be a sample knitter and gave me some of her past companies she's worked with, so I knew that she was reliable. And so she's going to be doing up a sample in one of our gradients, so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be the Vacillate shawl. If you've been watching the Stockinette Zombies, Megan's been knitting, she's on her second Vacillate shawl, and then she took the stitch pattern and put it into a top, and I got to see it in person at Stitches, so that was really cool. And it was really beautiful and looked good on her, so I contacted the designer and said, hey, can we work together so that I can sell your patterns in our booth and use it as a shop sample? I think it would look really good in our gradients, and so we've been working out details with that, so that's been exciting. But what else am I going to knit? We had kits at Stitches Midwest for a new shawl design by Sarah Berghart Abram, and it's called Polyphony. I was calling it Polyphony before, and I'm the English teacher, right? But it's called Polyphony, and so the kits came with a coupon code. I'm going to talk about them a little later, to get the pattern on Ravelry. And it was a big hit at the show. Well, the kits were kind of exclusive to Stitches, minus a few leftovers, which I'm going to talk about. But I do want to get the pattern in the booth for future shows and have the sample knit up. So I want to knit my own sample because it was so beautiful and looked just soul-soothing in its simplicity yet elegance. So I wanted to knit my own. So I went through all of our skeins of Show Stealer today and had the hardest time picking colors, but I think I've made a decision. And in case you're wondering, Polyphony, this is a little stretched out picture, but it looks like this. So it's like a stole wrap shawl thing, and it can be worn like 6 different ways. It's utterly gorgeous. So I'm going to use these 3 colors. So I'm going to use Copper Cloud, which I think I'm going to do as the lace section in it. And then Midnight Rendezvous, which I think I'm going to use as the one single side of the shawl. And then there's a color and garter stitch around all 3/4, and I think I'm going to do Eternal Kiss. So I think, how about I get the tags out of the way? I think those are going to be my 3 colors of my Polyphony shawl. So I don't know. I don't plan on casting on right away. So if you have any suggestions or like it, or let me know what you think in this week's episode thread on Ravelry. So that's what's in rehearsal, coming up soon to be on the needles. Alright, behind the scenes, my spinning. I did finish the first 2 ounces of Yarn Geek Fibers BFL and Sparkle in the Sonic Sunset colorway, and Sarah of Yarn Geek Fibers also attended Stitches. She did not vend, but she attended, so I got to see her a couple of times. She's always beautiful in her garb. She has a certain style, and it just works so well for her. So here's a little bit of the Sonic Sunset colorway. You can see the reds, blues, golds, a little bit of greens, undyed areas, all with that beautiful sparkle. I am fractally spinning this into a 2-ply. The first 2 ounces are right here. So this was spun straight from the braid, and I don't pull my whole braid down the middle when I split in half, because I will never get it even. I literally just fold the braid in half and then break it in half. And I spin one half straight out, and I then split the other half in thirds down the length of that half of the braid. So that's going pretty well. Just haven't had a whole lot of time to spin. It's been very busy and around the house, and I've just felt like I need to be busy all the time doing stuff that's not sitting down and doing crafting, so I've got to find that balance again. And, with throwing work into the mix, it's going to be interesting, so we'll see. So that's my spinning. Alright. In the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? I have not caught up on Proof. I have 2 or 3 episodes of that to watch. I did get caught up on The Strain. It's losing me just a little. I still enjoy the premise. I'm still going to watch it, but it's losing me just a little. I did watch a few minutes of Once Upon a Time, maybe an episode. I'm still on season 1, still enjoy that. What am I listening to? I'm currently listening to Blind Instinct by Robert W. Walker. I have about just over 3 hours left. There's a lot of philosophical talk, which kind of bores me sometimes. There's not a whole lot of action going on, so it is what it is. But I'm still listening to it. I will finish it. Alright, let's talk about new to me podcasts really quickly, and then I will talk about Stash Enhancement and Stitches. I have started watching a few new podcasts. Gotta add those few right at the end of summer as I'm caught up, and then I'll get woefully behind as work starts back up again. A few weeks ago I started watching Fibercast with Benjamin Credwig. I'm watching that via YouTube. I know he's on there. He does do some design work. I think he started off mostly as crochet, and he's getting into knitting. I think he's about to release his first men's sweater pattern, so go and check Fibercast, or just search Benjamin Credwig, Krudwig, on YouTube, and you should find him. I'm also started watching Dairyland Knits with Josh, known as Dr. Josh. He has been at the Zombie Apocalypse the past 2 years. I have not had the opportunity to really sit down and have a conversation with him, but he was in our booth at one point, and I said, if you're here next year and we're here, we need to sit down and have a conversation. He's like, yeah, we do. So I figured I should probably watch his podcast and get to know a little bit more about him. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was his ZK recap, which was his last episode, and enjoyed that. And then I started 2 new audio podcasts. They're not new by any means, and in fact I've been telling them some of them for years, that I've been meaning to watch it. I started listening to U University with Dr. Kelly. And Kelly is the owner of Halcyon Knitting Accessories, and she's a fellow Illinoisan, and we actually vended right next to each other at the Bishop Hill Spin-In 2 years ago, which was our first show we ever did. And it was so great to meet her, and then I had the pleasure of meeting her at the podcaster meetup at Stitches, and I was like, you know what? I really need to watch your show. I've heard such good things about it. She puts so much work into her podcast. She is a college professor and does a lot of reading and research about a particular topic. The latest episode that I listened to was all about kind of the emotional and behavioral effects on color, and how color can influence us and what research there is and lack of research there is regarding the topic. So, on top of what she's knitting, where she's going, the knit-alongs that she's doing, her life, there's also a very educational component to it. So definitely check out U University. You can just Google search it and go to her blog. It's also on iTunes. And the other one that I started listening to is the Knitting Rose podcast, and this is with Lise and her husband. It's slipping my mind. She's mentioned his name to me a couple of times. Lise is the owner of Knitting Rose Yarns, and I had the pleasure of vending with her not once, not twice, but 3 times this summer. We were both at ZK, SSK, and Stitches Midwest, and she's going on to do Stitches Texas here in a week or so, and then she's doing the Into the Wool Fiber Retreat, so she's been a busy, busy woman. I had the pleasure of really hanging out with her at Stitches Midwest along with the owners of Buffalo Wool Company. We went out for dinner and drinks one night. And so I knew Lise does her podcast, and so I went searching for it. It's on her website, knittingroseyarns.com. You can find the podcast. It's also on iTunes. And I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit of what she's knitting, what they're watching. She gets her husband involved, with what they're watching and reading, stuff about the shop. So the last one was fairly short. That was the only one I've been able to listen to, but I have subscribed via Feedly. I found a subscribe feed so that I could do that. So definitely check out those. I will have them all linked in the show notes for this week's episode, and you can find show notes at dramaticknits.com. Alright, so let's quickly go through Stitches, but before I do that, there's one thing I wanted to show you via Stash Enhancement, and I ordered this after I got back from SSK. It took a while to ship. I don't know if she had to dye it up or whatnot, but I was starting to get a little worried, and I finally got a shipping notification. But it came all the way from Canada, and this is Scrumptious Pearl, and this is the business casual colorway in the Stripe Me Up, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. Leslie at SSK was drooling over this as a door prize, so I was like, you know what? It's simple enough and plain enough. I really like it. So it's two different, it's like silver, gray, and black, and it is self-striping, and there is a nice coupon code and whatnot, so I'll let you know how that works out when I get around to knitting that. So that was the first thing, a Stash Enhancement. Alright, so Stitches. We left for Stitches early Thursday morning, about, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. We stopped and had breakfast. My sister came up with me because my mom and sister were in town the days previous, working on, my mom had to sign her lease for her apartment down here, and they were working on cleaning the apartment and getting it to be a little bit more livable. It's not the best of apartments, so, and my mom's kind of, a little crazy, so she was, had to have it her way. So they were working on that, and then my mom actually ended up leaving that morning as well. She was going to leave the night before, but she was tired, so she stayed. She left a little bit before we did. My sister and I drove up. We had breakfast, drove up, and got caught in a little bit of traffic, but the drive was pretty uneventful with the trailer. And eventually got up there. Sarah Berghart Abram met us up there. She actually got there a little bit before us, so it was really great. She had already kind of checked in. She knew what loading dock for us to drive up to. It was very easy to unload. And my sister helped me drive the trailer. They told us where to park the trailer. She helped me unhitch it, and we just rolled it back into a parking spot. They had some trailer parking spots back there, so that was really easy. Got set up, very uneventful. It was very low stress. I think the booth turned out very, very nice. And Andy had to work on Thursday, so he said he may be able to show up somewhere in the market hours between 5 and 8, but most likely he was not going to get there until after the market closed, and he was just going to go straight to the hotel, and I needed to drive my sister back to my mom's house up in the burbs, which was going to take me probably a little over an hour round trip after the market closed. Well, my sister and I went out to lunch and checked into the hotel, and then we got some coffee and whatnot and came back, and I was like, boy, that looks like Andy's car. And it was Andy driving around the parking lot. So he actually got off of work much earlier than he thought. In fact, came home and took a little bit of a nap and drove, went and had lunch and by himself and drove down and surprised me. So he was actually there prior to the market opening. We walked around the market, and then it was about time for the market preview to open for Stitches attendees. It was a good preview. Enjoyed it a lot. And the show overall was a good experience. It was nice to have Sarah in our booth promoting her patterns. She had 3 new patterns released for Stitches right before Stitches, featuring our yarn, so she was able to talk up her patterns and network with a lot of different people, some of you, I'm sure, and got to meet her. And so that's pretty much it. Friday and Saturday were long days, 10 to 6, but it was good. I love working shows. I love, they can be tiring, but I love talking with people, promoting our product, talking about something that we're both passionate about. So it was good. Didn't do a whole lot of stash enhancement in front at the beginning. In fact, Andy was bought me a few gifts, and then the floodgates kind of opened a little bit the last day. I believe Saturday night we went out to dinner at Portillo's with the Buffalo Wool Company gang and Lisa Knitting Rose Yarns, and Erin Lane Bags and her husband were there. And then we split off and we dropped a few people off at their hotel, and they're like, well, you know what, let's go for a drink. So we went and had a drink, talked with Ron, and I think it's Ron and Teresa of Buffalo Wool Company. It's just amazing their story behind their company and how involved and engaged they are in shows, and they do a whole thing up in Alaska, and they do like a month-long thing in Washington, D.C. It's crazy, but it's very interesting to hear their story and what they put into their company. So that was that, and then Sunday we had market from 10 to 4, cleaned up, broke down, was what it was. It wasn't that bad, so I can't complain. It was really nice, actually, because the loading dock was crazy. We couldn't pull up the truck and trailer if we wanted to. We would have waited a long time. So I started breaking down, and Andy just started taking stuff out to the trailer, which was, a little bit of a hike away from the convention center a little bit. So, but we got that done. We then hitched up then we went to dinner. We came back and then got the trailer and started to leave, and I was driving Andy's car. I said, and I drove the trailer up here, you can drive the trailer back. And we thought everything was peachy keen. Drove out of the parking lot, got onto one of the made roads, luckily before we got on the highway, and I look behind me and I just see sparks coming out from behind the truck, between the truck and trailer, and the trailer was not on all the way. It actually jumped the hitch. And so luckily Andy was able to stop it. It kind of dinked with the back of the truck a little bit. I don't think it did any more damage to the truck, which is fine, because the truck is actually being repaired. I have a loaner car right now, which is interesting. It's an Impala. But anyway, so the truck the trailer got another little dent. We both put a dent in the trailer. But we got it hitched back on. Luckily no major damage was done. Freaked Andy out a lot, but we drove home and got home Sunday night, and it was a really good trip. We enjoyed Stitches a lot. It was our best show by far. Every show we do, we keep growing. We love it. So we had talked about possibly putting in for Stitches South. The problem is it's in April, and I work then, and so does Andy. He talked about possibly driving up Wednesday night and setting up Thursday and Friday and doing Thursday and Friday by himself, and then I would drive up Friday night and do Saturday and Sunday and potentially take off Monday to drive back. But it is all the way in Nashville. It's kind of a hike. I just don't know if that's in the cards for us with our jobs. I mean, we don't want to jeopardize anything with our jobs because of the business due to taking off so much time. So not until one of us gets to quit our jobs and make this full time do I think that that's going to be a possibility, unfortunately. But we already did apply for Stitches Midwest 2016. We put in for a double booth. We're going to expand, make our footprint a little more well known, hopefully, at Stitches Midwest 2016. So hopefully we'll see some of you again. And if you couldn't make it, hopefully we can see you next year. And all that fun stuff. So, let's talk about what I got. Was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday. We were walking around, and I said, ooh, I've seen these mugs, and I really like them. And I had picked out, or I had liked one of them, but he actually picked out a different design. And this is from Poly Studios Ceramic Yarn Bowls, and they're in Kentucky. Here is their information, if it'll focus. And this is dishwasher and microwave safe, and this one says I knit so I don't kill people. So Andy picked that up for me. I haven't used it yet, but all hand done. I'm excited about it. So that's that. And then on Friday, we had looked at the Miss Babs booth before the market opened on Thursday. And she just had a beautiful setup. There was no one in the booth at that time. And we were walking around and just amazed with as much product as she has. I do understand why she probably didn't have as much SSK as one would have hoped. But she was prepping for Stitches Midwest. And we were just looking, going, this would take us a whole year to do, and she's got a whole team, which is great for her. I'm so happy, but she has a color sense. Miss Babs does dye every single skein, I do know that, and then other people kind of handle the scanning, rescanning, all that rigmarole. So anyway, I had heard about this base, I think on the Stockinette Zombies, and I said I want a skein of that for Martina Bem's Novum. But I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't really care because I'm not going to wear it myself. I just wanted to knit it. So I said, Andy, you go over to the booth. I want this base, one skein. You pick out a colorway. And he knows my color preferences. And I actually had said right at the end, no green, but he didn't hear that. So he picked me up a skein of Miss Babs Katahdin, which is a 4-ply fingering weight. It is 100% BFL, Blue Face Leicester. It is 1,750 yards, 14 ounces. It's a Babette in the Lizard Lounge colorway. So this is what he picked up for me, and I'm going to knit the Novum out of this eventually when the random number generator picks this skein out of my stash to be knit up. So it is a big honkin' skein, and now that I have, the Nancy's Knit Knacks electric ball winder, it can fit the skein. One of the things we did purchase for the business was a new Swift. We got a Strauch, I think that's how you say it, Strauch. I think it's STRAUCH. Swift in maple. So it took a little bit getting used to, but it's definitely more well made than the Knit Picks one we had been using, especially when we're using it as much as we do for the business. So this was exciting to pick up a skein of Katahdin. There's quite a few other bases I want to try of hers. I just need to... I'm sure her booth was outrageously busy. So that was that. And then, what else? I did have a nice conversation with, now I can't remember her name. Is it on here? Oh, it's not on here. It starts with an L, I swear it does. Lisa, I can't remember. But the proprietress of Lydia Yarn, whom I've heard about through the Caffeinated Knitting podcast. And Lydia is an acronym for Luxury Yarn Dyed in America. And I had the pleasure of talking with her about, her business growing, our business growing. She was kind of across and down just in a booth from us. And, she had talked about how she had just started doing TNNA And, I had mentioned I had the podcast, and she said, well, if you want to review something, and she gave me to review one of her sock blanks. It is the same as ours. It's a single knit, 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, 460 yards. And these are the, what did she call these? Can't remember now. But it says you are smart. They're the positive affirmation sock blanks. So it's like things to stop being negative about oneself. And as you can see, it has the red writing that says you are smart across it. And she's known for her speckled dyes. So then it has these fun specklings and things like this. And I actually paired up a pattern with this. I'm not going to do a pair of socks. I'm going to do Megan Williams' Cool Clavicle cover out of this. So I'm excited to have that, and I'll let you know more about that when I get around to knitting that. So thank you so much for giving that to review on the podcast. Speaking of review on the podcast, I had the pleasure of meeting my contact from Cooperative Press that I work with to review books. She also does the social media for XRX, which is the company that puts on Stitches. She does quite a few different companies, and another one of her companies that she represents is Shalimar Yarns. So we were talking, and I said, I wouldn't mind reviewing some of the yarn companies that you work for as well. She's like, I didn't know with you having your own yarn company. I said, we're all very, very supportive of each other, because if we're not, that's just putting negativity out into the yarny universe, and that's just not good. Your business isn't going to last long if you're going to be negative of other people's success. So I said, I love to review other yarns. I like to knit with other things other than my own all the time. So she brought me over a new base from Shalimar Yarns called Breathless Cush. It is a bulky weight, 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk, 145 yards. You recommends a size 10.5 US, 3.5 stitches per inch. It is machine or hand wash, lay flat to dry. This is the colorway Neptune. She pulled over 2 skeins for me, one for me to keep and review, so I'll let you know. I picked out a cowl pattern out of this, and then she brought over a skein for a prize for the podcast. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet, if that's going to be, a prize for the stuffing knit along at the end of the year, or a race to the finished object or whatnot. So I did get that. And then the lovely folks at Lost City Knits were right across from us. They had an end cap in the aisle right next to us. So I was looking and admiring their stuff, and I got to talking to them. And the husband, I can't remember his name, he does this cool photo project on his blog, which I need to see if mine's up there. He asked a lot of people just to take pictures of knitwear, not their knitwear necessarily, but just in knitwear. And this is their card, Lost City Knits. Denise was the wife of the couple. She was teaching some classes at Stitches as well on lace. And they had some samples and patterns which kind of sold me. Like, if I could pair a pattern with the yarn, then it's not so much just random stash enhancement as it is future project ideas. So they had this shawl, the Monarch shawl, in 2 sizes. And so I picked up this pattern. It'll focus. Really? There we go. So I picked up this pattern, and then I wanted to work with this base, and I let Denise pick out a color. I said, I'm going to be showing this on the podcast. I said, you pick out a color that you want me to work with that needs a little more exposure, what have you, whatnot. I said, because I'm not wearing the shawl. So I picked up a skein of their Twin Canyon Fingering, which is 50% merino, 50% silk, 500 yards, and this is in the colorway Pretty Penny. So it's a little more gold than it's coming out. It's not as, it's orange, but it's not as saffrony. It's a little more gold to it. But I'm going to knit that shawl out of this eventually. I dropped the bag that it was in. Really shouldn't sit on my feet. So that's that. And then, don't worry, I have one more bag of stuff. Then on the last day, I got a Thematic bat from Wool Pierogi, and this is 2.4 ounces of merino nylon, merino, and Firestar in the Calavera colorway. So it's black. Andy kind of picked out this color. She brought two over for us to think about, and it's black and white with these streaks. You can see orange, green, purple. It's very thin streaks of color. So thought that was neat, and I don't know what I will work with this. I might take a 2-ounce fiber end. We have a lot of fiber ends, and dye it in our London Fog colorway to apply with this. I'm not sure yet. So there's that. And then I got some Chicago Knits magazines to review for you. I had the pleasure of talking with the owner of Chicago Knits once again, and we provided some yarn supports for a future design. Nothing like we would have ever worked with in a design before, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. Andy got some new luggage from the Healthy Luggage people. Worked out something with them. It's a rolly luggage for, all these shows we're planning on doing. So he came by the booth and he had it, and then he went walking around Stitches with it, testing it out. I don't know. And then I had the pleasure of meeting I don't think her name's on here. The owner of Destination Yarns, and I guess she's been around a while, but mostly just in shops in Ohio. And this was her first stitches. And she had a couple of skeins wound up into kits, and I picked a kit up for the Roadster Shawlette by Kate Jackson. Like I said, I had the pleasure of meeting her, and got to see this. And picked up her pattern, and then something about these skeins together were calling me. So the purple and pink is called, this is the Letter Plus base, the purple and pink, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards of fingering weight in the Girls Night Out colorway. And then the gray is the Letter base, which is 100% superwash merino, 400 yards, and it's the Rainy Afternoon. So I'm going to make that shawl eventually out of those two yarns. So again, I had a project in mind. I just wasn't randomly acquiring stash. So that's all that I picked up at Stitches. Overall, I really had a really good time. I can't wait until next year to do it all over again. I can't wait to see how we expand into two booths. And I have some ideas of a little dress-up, try-it-on area of the booth. We'll see if that works out. We're hoping to expand out into double booths for a couple different shows in the upcoming year, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll get a couple dry runs and have it be spot on for Stitches next year. Alright, so in the spotlight, a round of applause. We just did in the spotlight. I do want to remind you that we have a coupon code. Oh, I forgot some stash enhancement. Sorry, I put it to the side. I did. Andy picked up two skeins from Buffalo Wool Company in their Trax base. This one is a full skein. This is a half Trax. This is 400 yards. This is 200. Their base is 90% superwash merino, 10% bison down, fingering weight. Again, 400 and 200 yards. This is in the color Mykonos blue, and this is Bow Blue. And he picked these up to do socks, heels and toes in the light blue, and then everything else in the dark blue. So he picked that up for himself, which is a bit of a luxury fiber, so he splurged on himself a little bit too. Alright, so a round of applause. Bags by Awesome Granny. We do have a coupon code for 10% off, good until the end of September, and the coupon code is DramaticKnits10. So if you head on over to our Etsy shop, I will link it in our show notes, and you can use the coupon code DramaticKnits10 to get 10% off your order or orders until September 30th. We do have a sweater knit along going on. Your sweaters must have been started on or after July 1st, 2015 and must be completed on or before October 31st, 2015. You can knit as many sweaters as you would like. Every sweater that you finish in between that time frame, start and finish in between that time frame, will get you one entry into our drawing of wonderful prizes. Excuse me. If you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts, you can post a FO picture of the same sweater twice that uses any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts, and that'll get you 2 entries into the drawing. It must be an adult size sweater. It must be classified as a sweater on Ravelry. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or Callie, who is known as Calsters, on Ravelry, and we can clarify that. There's some great chatter going on and conversation between knit-along participants on our Ravelry board. Don't forget, you must also be a member of the group in order to be eligible for prizes as well. We do want to remind you to enter anything you finish in the month of August, no matter when it was started, into our August 2015 Race to the Finished Object contest. We have 2 wonderful prizes this month. The first is a large set project bag from Bags by Awesome Granny, and you'll be able to choose that from her shop, and she will ship it out to you. So thank you, Darlene, for donating that. And then we have a pattern of your choice from our featured designer, who is Sarah Berghardt Abram. And anything that is giftable through Ravelry, she will gift to you. And we thank her for agreeing to be our featured designer. Alright, so I think that's it for our regularly scheduled show. I do want to tell you some stuff in Center Stage about Leading Men Fiber Arts. Stay tuned for just a few seconds. So, before I show you anything, I do want to tell you we are going to have a sale. We are going to have a birthday sale. Some of you may know, most of you probably don't, but my birthday is coming up at the end of August, the 24th, and it is a substantial birthday for me. I am turning 30 years old. So, in the shop, I opened the shop the day after my birthday 2 years ago. So the 25th is the shop's birthday, and we're going to be 2 years old in the shop. So due to both those birthdays being back-to-back, Leading Men Fiber Arts is going to have a sale both those days, the 24th and the 25th, which is a Monday and Tuesday, and you can use the coupon code BIRTHDAY in all caps, and you will get 30% off your entire purchase. So it's a significant significant discount, sorry, and we're excited about it. We need to clear some stock out, some stuff that's been there. Excited to fill it back up, get ready for, I'd say next year's show season, but we still have a couple more shows here with the remainder of the year, and could be potentially adding a few more. So we're excited for that sale. So again, the 24th and 25th of August, 30% off your whole entire order, no matter how many orders you place. Use the coupon code BIRTHDAY. Do want to tell you our next show that we will be vending at is Fiber in the Park, which is in Earlsville, Illinois. That'll be September 19th, I believe, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. maybe. And then after that, what we have slated right now is Vogue Knitting Live Chicago, which is October 2nd through 4th, I believe, which is a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. And that's at the Palmer Hilton House Hotel in downtown Chicago. Alright, so let's show some of the things that I've added that are, not just yarn, but specialty things as well. So, sock blanks. We did put up all of our remaining sock blanks. These are improv sock blanks. Again, they are single knit, 463 yards of a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It's the same base as our showstopper base. And they're called improv sock blanks because they're all one of a kind. We are using improvisation when we dye these. We do not write down the recipes, never to be repeated. So I have fun naming them as well. I use idioms for most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. So this one is called An Arm and a Leg, and it is not that eye-searing. It is a peachy pinky orange with that kind of graffiti on it. So there's that one. We have a stripy one. I did do a couple in stripies. These are not going to be clean, crisp stripes like self-striping sock yarns, and they're going to be rather large on your sock. It's more like a Noro-esque almost, gradiating color change. But this one's called a piece of cake. So that's still in the shop. We have quite a few more, but they've been relatively popular since I've updated them. This one is called A Leopard Can't Change His Spots. And the last one we have is called Fictitious Oversight. This one was not a idiom named. And this one's a striping as well. So, those are the sock blanks we have left in the shop. These retail for $30. So check them out. Alright, really quickly, kits. We have a few Polyphony kits available still, and they come with 3 skeins of our Show Stealer yarn, our Show Stealer base, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and we just kind of paired some colors. They also come with a coupon code on the inside, so you can download the Polyphony pattern on Ravelry for free. So here's one of the kits. This comes with My Maker, which is the red, Darkest Hour, and Amethyst. And I think that one's called Shot in the Dark, because those are the colors in Shot in the Dark. I think this one we called All the Blues. This is Old Blue Eyes, Fishbowl, and Midnight Rendezvous. And these are retail for $75. We have a Dumb Luck one. These are the colors in Dumb Luck. This is Eternal Kiss, Apple Bottom, and Sprightly Endeavors. It's a very dark wine, burgundy, cabernet color. And the last one we have, I think I called this one True Love. This is Raspberry Parfait, Dreamweaver, and Stage Kiss. So, there's 4 different kits still available up there. Once they're gone, they're gone. Probably will not make more kits again. That particular pattern, as new patterns come out that necessitate kits, we may do those as well. I think Sarah's going to be working on a new design for Vogue when Vogue comes around that will be 2 colors, I think. So we might have kits for that. Gradients. What gradients do we have in the shop? We did update all of our gradients we had left. The remaining ones, we have the Breaking Ground gradient, which is the lovely browns. We have a couple Emerald City gradients. That one seems to be upside down. Not sure why. I think Andy repackaged these for me. That's okay though. We have some Citrus Splash gradients. Rubber Ducky, which is not a colorway that we do in the shop, but we decided to do it in gradient. And then we have a couple Copper Cloud. I'm surprised these haven't sold. Copper Cloud gradients. So check those out. The gradients retail for $40. Alright, mini skeins. These will be the last things I show you. We have 2 different sets of Showstopper mini skeins. Excuse me. The Showstopper mini skeins retail for $25. I'm not going to go through all the colors, but here's a semi-solid set. Thinking about doing a shawl with one of our new cream colorways called Noon Scene. It's like a white, cream, bear, ecru colorway with these in there. I think this is like a lovely floral color combination. And then if you're doing a sock yarn blanket or something fun like that, we have lovely variegateds in this set. And then we have 1 set of Show Stealer mini skeins. These retail for $29. This is a variegated set, but still go together very well, I think. And then we have quite a few different sets on Spotlight. Spotlight retail for $27, and I think I did a nice job of pairing colors between Andy and I. We paired these together. So here's kind of a pink set, pink and purple set. And these are mostly semi-solids, but they've got one variegated in there. This particular one does. This one's a couple variegateds with some semi-solids. This one's blue, lots of different blues with one variegated in there. Greens. And then I've got some browns and blues. So, definitely check those out as well. Lots of mini skeins to be had. We're updating fiber as I'm working through things. I've updated a couple different braids of fiber. I didn't bring those up to show you. I updated a little bit of yarn, but we're updating just a little bit every day. So follow me on Instagram as Leading Men Fiber Arts, or on Facebook, like our Leading Men Fiber Arts page. You can also join the Ravelry group for Leading Men Fiber Arts to stay updated on all of that in terms of what's being added to the shop. Don't forget about the sale coming up on the 24th and 25th for 30% off. Coupon code BIRTHDAY. And yeah. If you're watching the shows on iTunes, please leave a star rating or a full written review. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and give us a thumbs up or leave us a comment on the show. I'd appreciate that as well. And I think that's pretty much it for this week. So hopefully Callie will be joining me next week. We shall see. Until then, I hope you knit something dramatic.